All right, everybody. So this week we're going to be releasing an episode from our Patreon vault. Not even all of it, actually, just a little over half, probably. And you can get the full episode of this at our Patreon, which is patreon.com/superhero-stuff-pod. So without further ado, here we go. Man, we're here. You know what I'm saying?
Indeed.
Ben, do you
Yes.
like doing the Patreon more than the live show, man? Because I think I do. I don't know why.
I mean, it depends. I think it depends on my mood. Depends on what the topic is. That's a good question, though. I think I like the casualness of this. I like how it's a little easier. It's a lot easier to prepare. A lot easier. You know what? One of the reasons why you might like it is we kind of just all do it in recording, as opposed to some of the other stuff we have to do. We kind of have to do a lot of stuff in post to add in
Yeah,
like ads and all that type of stuff. So maybe.
it's just casual all the way around, and
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know. It's a little bit loose, and I mean, not that there's that much pressure, but it's a little bit more pressure for the other show.
True. Yeah.
It's still on
So
the
yeah,
casual side of life, but yeah,
we like it. We like
yeah.
it. So but I do hate to this is the third Patreon this year where we've kind of had to start it out like this, but as you can see with the photo that we've got on the video, we've lost another major a legend in the comic community, and that's Tim Sale, who passed away the past week, age of 66, which is young, older than I thought he was, but still very young, you
I
know.
know he looks late 40s in this photo.
Yeah. I know, right? So
Yeah.
big surprise. It was not disclosed until afterwards about like why he was in the hospital. Because at first we found out he was in the hospital and people, sent their well wishes, and then unfortunately on the 16th of last week we found out that he had passed. So according to collaborator Richard Starkings, it was actually from kidney failure. So,
Jeez.
geez, yeah.
What causes that? Just genetics?
Just general. It can be caused by a whole bunch of things. I know diabetes can lead into that because my dad has that. You know,
Yeah.
so I don't know. We don't know the specifics in terms of what led to that for him, but the
Yeah.
for Tim Sale, he was only a year younger than George Perez, which surprised me because I read his comics in like early 2000s. I kind of associate him with a younger generation since his comics are, the comics that put him on the map are more recent and after, Neil Adams and George Perez. So,
He saw his,
big
fame later in
surprise.
life, like
Yeah.
Tim Miller,
Yeah. Yeah. And I
right?
didn't realize that. I thought he was a lot younger, but you know, it's a shame. And I really do, even though we've sort of like gone back and forth on the long Halloween type of stuff, his art was never, anything that I found derivative. I do like this image of Batman in the top left, and even the one on his shirt that we see here, from
Mhm.
Long Halloween and Dark Victory, just classic stuff, great style. You can tell just from looking at any image of his that it's him.
Yeah, he's got the Americana style, I think, especially with Superman, because it
Hmm.
lends itself to that more. Like, For All Seasons was on the Reddit sidebar that I always talk about. So that was actually my, introduction to him, really,
Hmm.
was For All Seasons, and when I look back at that, it is really, really cool style, you know?
Yeah, and I think his Superman's unique in the sense that he's not really chiseled. He's big, but he's not like chiseled in a way. So it's like it's his own style of Superman,
It's
at least in
almost
for all seasons.
I know what you're saying, yeah, it's like, Alex Ross draws it to where they're almost got a paunch,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, not
Hmm.
quite, but a couple more beers and they'll be there, you
Right.
know what I mean?
Hmm.
Which is kinda cool, so, yeah.
Yeah.
RIP, man, this is crazy, it's a fucking pandemic. I mean, it's a real pandemic, but this is a comic book creator pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a shame. Three basically in the past few months.
Yeah, hopefully that'll stop for a bit. It's kind
I
of a
hope
lot.
so.
It's still
Yeah.
fallout from 2020, I think. I think we're gonna see effects from 2020 for a while, man,
Yeah.
you
I think so
know?
too. I think so too. So, rest in peace, Tim Sale.
Rest in peace.
Let's move on then into the main topic, which is Alfred. So, Michael Gough is the Alfred of our childhood in the '90s Batman movies, and I thought I would go a little bit more into him, as well as some of his Alfred performances we didn't see in the movies that are actually existing in audio, since we're kind of on an audio book kick. So, Michael Gough was born in 1916.
Oh
Uh,
man.
yeah, born in Malaysia, actually. His
What?
parents, yeah, were living there at the time. And back in 1916, it wasn't even called Malaysia. It was called the Federated Malay States. So,
Oh my god.
yeah, this guy goes way back. But I mean, clearly he's English. It was just English family living there, I guess, for a
British
time.
colony shit, probably.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know that much about Malaysia, but that's what it seems to be because it threw me off
Hmm.
when I first read like where he was born because you just expect it to be like, oh, England, UK, and then you're just like, wait a minute, what's this? So
Yeah.
that was interesting. We know him as Alfred, but people in the like 60s or 70s or so knew him as the guy who played a lot of creeps. Actually,
No. Oh, really?
yeah. So he was in a lot of the Hammer horror movies, usually not as the monster, but like the evil aristocrat type guy and
Okay,
type
that
of
makes
stuff.
sense, actually.
So he played a bunch of villains. He was a good guy in Horror of Dracula, where he co-starred with Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. So he was in the first Christopher Lee Dracula movie as a good guy on that. He was a Doctor Who villain named the Celestial Toymaker, and he was also a villain in a TV adaptation of The Count of Monte Cristo I saw. That's from the 60s, where he was de Villefort, the lawyer who betrays Dante's. So he's actually
Mm,
pretty good at playing a villain. I'd never seen him in that type of role until I started going back, and it's kind of surreal seeing like this is a young Alfred, except he's playing a piece of shit. So it's
is
kind of cool.
is that one Account of Monte Cristo from 2001 or 2 the best one? Or is it I just like it because I saw it when I was in high school?
Um, I don't know. It's the best one. I like it a lot. I think it's a great introduction to the
Uh-huh.
story. But I think a lot of the other, it's a story that's made for like a TV miniseries. And so for like
Mm,
for like a feature movie, the 2001, 2002 one is probably like the best you could do to streamline it. But if we're talking, I guess if we're talking film adaptations, maybe, but like for overall in live action adaptations, it's something that lends itself better to TV. I feel.
right, yeah. It's another thing, like, Netflix or Prime could really get on that. It's probably open source or whatever they call it, public domain.
Yeah,
Like, just I mean, why not do that?
yeah.
It's gonna have some badass fencing in it and shit.
I
Come
know,
on,
right?
man.
Yeah. So that's the '60s is kind of the one that he was in was pretty true to the book or so. So if you did a modern update on that today, that'd be fantastic.
Mhm.
But I think Burton grew up with the Hammer horror movies that Michael Gough was part of, and he was probably that's probably why he thought of Michael Gough in the role. And again, I guess he's casting against type, so he kind of did that with Michael Keaton in the role of Batman, and he did it with Alfred, and it worked.
Yeah.
Burton, man, he had the casting down for this. So
Yep, yep.
we know him from the four Batman movies, as well as the Diet Coke commercial that we saw on the VHS before
Yes.
'89, uh,
Yes.
as well as the OnStar commercial. So the most obscure part of his Alfred career, though, are two BBC radio audio productions where he plays Alfred. Obviously picked because of the fact he's already Alfred in live action, so why not? And so I think he holds the record for having worked with the most Batmen as an Alfred. So you've
Mm,
got Keaton, Kilmer, Clooney, you've got Bruce Thomas in this OnStar commercial, and then we have the radio Batman, Bob Sessions, who we're going to talk about him here. So
okay.
let's go into where this, how this came about. So this is pretty recently after the release of '89, the Batman '89 film, and it's not just the release of that movie, but it's also the 50th anniversary of the Batman character in that year. And so, for whatever reason, BBC Radio 4 decides like let's do like an audio adventure tribute story to Batman. It's only like 43 minutes long. It's kind of their like anniversary tribute to him. So the title was Batman: The Lazarus Syndrome, and it
Wow.
was
That's a cool
yeah,
name.
Yeah, it's produced and co-written by Dirk Maggs. We've talked about him before. He's one of the major audio drama producers in the UK. He did not just Batman Adventures, but also Superman ones, including an adaptation of The Death and Return of Superman. Also, audio adaptations featuring Spider-Man, Judge Dredd, and most recently on Audible, Sandman.
Oh,
So,
nice. Oh, that's
yeah,
him.
yeah. So this guy goes way back. He's been doing this since the '80s,
The
at least
Sandman one's incredible.
comics.
It's like a movie. Like it's yeah, it's just really well produced.
Yeah. So that's Dirk Maggs. Dirk Maggs
Yeah.
is like the master of all that type of stuff. So that's pretty awesome. This poster art seems to be might have been just a promo for it, but it's what I found on Wiki, and it kind of recycles the comic cover of Batman: Son of the Demon, done by Jerry Bingham, I think. But it is released on CD, though I think it's still a little hard to get a hold of. But it was released on CD decades later, which is why this cover art that we're seeing right here has Jim Lee's Batman from like
Okay.
way later in
Right.
Hush. So I think because of the fact that it's produced in the UK, it's like, well, Michael Gough's already here, and he was Alfred in the movie, so we might as well cast him in this. So this is actually Michael Gough's second Alfred performance after '89 and before Batman Returns, is in this Lazarus Syndrome audio adventure. So uh, writers are Dirk Maggs himself as well as Simon Bullivant. And with a name like the Lazarus Syndrome, it's not hard to figure out who the villain is on this.
Right.
It's the first adaptation of Ra's al Ghul, and to be the first voice of Ra's, they actually brought in another actor from Batman '89. So here's kind of a deep cut. Garrick Hagan, who played the dad who's trying to get a taxi at the beginning of Batman '89. They thought that guy should be Ra's al Ghul.
Guy with the first line?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah. So this is Garrick Hagan. He's a Canadian actor who actually lives in the UK, so that's kind of how he ends up in Batman '89.
Okay.
He was Biggs Darklighter in Star Wars to Star Wars fans, but he is living in the UK. He's in a whole bunch of UK productions. He's Canadian though, so he doesn't have a British accent. It's actually his wife. I didn't find this out until recently. It's his wife, Liza Ross, playing his wife in '89 as well. Where she's like,
Oh,
"For God's
okay.
sakes, Harold, please get a taxi." Like that, they're actually a real life couple.
Wow, okay.
So I'm like, oh shit, that's awesome. So Garrick Hagan gets brought on to do the voice of Ra's al Ghul. First time the character's been adapted, and they do pronounce it Roz. They don't say Raish in this. This is
Mhm.
a pre-animated series, and the opening is just they just get right the fuck to it. It's a fight between Ra's al Ghul and Batman and Crime Alley. So I'm going to play that clip for us.
Oh. Is it not ironic? Batman, the greatest minds of our generation. And here we are, fighting like animals. Beats me. Strange. Today I feel particularly rejuvenated. You were foolish to drop your guard, detective.
Oh, I'd hate you to think I'd gone soft.
Yeah!
Now, you want to play games. I want to talk.
What weapon was that?
Just a batarang.
Oh,
Now, before I'm tempted to spoil that plastic surgery, tell me what brings you here tonight to this alley with that face.
a good question, Batman. One that surely deserves an answer.
Good.
Certainly.
It's
Yes.
to beat one out of you.
Oh, there is no need. The answer is simple. It's your birthday, and according to the custom of your people, I have a present for you.
Oh, no, not here.
Cat, no!
You know, they never really explained what he did to Batman in that part. At the
Okay.
end. But yeah, that's kind of how it starts off. So we got our first Ra's al Ghul here, and this is nothing against Garrick Hagan, but it might also be the weakest version of Ra's al Ghul that I've heard. Not
Yeah.
not necessarily in voice, but like he doesn't even know what a fucking batarang is. In the beginning, he's like, "What was that weapon?" I'm like, "Really?" Uh,
It's the first time meeting him, I guess. I mean,
yeah. He just doesn't carry the same gravitas that we're used to, and he makes these different types of mistakes too throughout the thing. Where I'm just like, this doesn't really feel like the demon's head, the Ra's al
right.
Ghul. Again, not
Right,
Garrett
right,
Hagan's
right.
fault. It's more of the writing. And I think they kind of just get away with it in this time because like no one outside of comic readers really know who Ra's al Ghul is. There's no animated series adaptation yet. There's no Batman Begins with Liam Neeson. This is just the very first time they've ever adapted him, and he's just kind of there to be the villain, to set up like different scenes showcasing Batman.
Right.
So another interesting thing about this Ra's is Batman mentions that Ra's al Ghul's home is Nanda Parbat, which is an interesting common misconception. It's not the case in the comics. Nanda Parbat's a completely different city, and I kind of always wondered where that came from. And it seems like this. I don't know if it came from this because this seems like a really obscure point for people to get. I don't know how many people were listening to this and
Yeah.
thought about that, but it might have been already in, I don't know, a misconception among comic book readers at the time that it sort of
Nanda
carried over.
Nanda Parbat is part of Dead Man's thing, right? Or no?
Um, I think it's part. Is it Strange Adventures? Let me look up right now. It could be part of.
Looking it up, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, Strange Adventures
Live.
number 216, created by the late Neil Adams.
Okay.
First appears in Strange Adventures, but yeah, Ramakrishna is the most famous as the entity responsible for turning airless Boston Brand into the ghostly Dead Man. So, yeah, it is associated with Dead Man. It didn't really get connected to Ra's al Ghul in the comics, at least not that I could find, until Grant Morrison's The Resurrection of Ra's al Ghul, and that's like way after this audio,
Mhm.
like decades after this audio. So, I don't know. But it's funny
Okay.
to hear that. Garrick Hagan is prolific in terms of his different comic book characters. He voices Thomas Wayne in a brief flashback in this audio as well. And he's in a bunch of these Dirk Maggs audios. He's in the Superman ones. He's also Jor-El in the Superman ones, as well as Perry White. So he's playing a whole bunch of DC characters.
Have you listened to those?
I have. They're pretty good.
Oh, they are. Okay, cool.
Yeah, we'll have a separate episode covering the Superman ones, but those are pretty fun too. And the latest comic book or Batman related character he played was this dude, Henry Adams, from the Arkham Knight video game, the old man who gets infected by Joker blood.
Oh
So
man.
he's been around the block, just not really given a lot of recognition for it because his first time was Harold getting a taxi, and we don't really think to follow up on that guy
No.
afterwards.
Only this podcast.
Yes.
We could
So
probably
this is a
interview
tribute.
him next.
Yeah. The guy who got the taxi in '89 will still get
Hell,
like
why
a
not?
million views.
We're gonna go. Yeah, no. We're gonna interview everybody in the show.
Yes. We'll finally get you your taxi, Harold.
We're gonna finally end with Michael Keaton eventually.
Probably, yes. So after the sequence, we, Batman's been abducted, as we hear, and Commissioner Gordon, voiced by actor Paul Maxwell, gets a tape where Batman says, like, Jim, I'm Bruce Wayne. And Gordon's like, what the fuck? And goes to Wayne Manor, and that's where Alfred comes in. So here's Michael Gough's first scene as Alfred in this audio production.
Good morning. Ah, Commissioner Gordon, what a pleasant surprise.
Alfred, may I come in?
But of course.
Thank you.
May I take your coat, sir?
No, thanks. Look, I think we need to talk, don't you?
We do?
About our mutual friend.
Um,
Your employer. I only heard this morning. I don't know what to say.
Master Bruce rang you this morning.
No, the cassette. In the event of his... My God, you don't know?
Obviously I don't, Commissioner. Perhaps you should enlighten me.
Alfred, the Batman.
Remarkable fellow. Of course, I'm not sure that I approve of costumed individuals.
He's dead.
My goodness.
Alfred, I need to know when you
Way to be
last
blunt,
saw him.
Jim.
I mean, as Bruce Wayne.
As Bruce Wayne? I don't understand.
Alfred, you're shaking.
There's a very chill draft in this hallway, sir. Why don't I show you to the drawing room? You can speak to Master Bruce in comfort.
Indeed.
Commissioner Gordon to see you, sir.
Jim. Bruce?
Just in time for a snack. How about eggs Benedict, Alfred?
Very good, sir.
So it just occurred to me, too. I think this is the only time Michael Gough's Alfred actually interacts with Commissioner Gordon.
Michael Gough is the blueprint
Yeah.
for Alfred. Pretty much.
Indeed. Indeed.
there can be no other. But trying to think. Well, Michael Caine's pretty damn good, but it's just missing that certain something.
Yeah, I mean it depends on the type of Alfred. Like
Yeah.
there is there is that like stiff upper lip butler quality to Michael Gough that Kane doesn't quite have, but then also Kane has some of the most emotional Alfred scenes.
Yeah,
So it's
it's more integral to the
it's awesome.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it occurred to me listening to this. I'm just like, I don't think he ever had any scenes with Gordon until other than this audio production. So that's kind of cool too.
It's
Uh
cool he
s-
owned this role. It's like the Constantine guy now. I forgot
yeah,
his name, but
yeah.
that
Matt
guy,
Ryan.
Matt
Yeah.
Ryan.
Yeah. So to play him in both live action and in some sort of audio production is pretty cool.
Yeah, just own it. That's
Yeah.
great. That's
Yeah.
what I would do.
So the basic plot here is Batman's been abducted and Ra's al Ghul has used plastic surgery to pretend to be Bruce Wayne. So that's actually Garrick Hagan as Ra's in at the end there. And this is actually it's kind of foreshadowing of Hush because Hush tried to do the same to Batman in the Heart of Hush storyline. So really interesting on this, and it also means that Michael Gough's Alfred gets to interact with Ra's al Ghul, which is a trip on in this audio. So that's pretty cool. But let's talk about the guy voicing the real Batman on here. So that's Bob Sessions, who we're showing here. We've had different Batman voices in the previous weeks, and so far out of the guys, we've had Bob Stolfi in the Batman Forever one, Don Leslie in the Batman and Robin one. I think Sessions ranks above those two guys. There's like a Conroy esque quality to his voice, but also still kind of different from that at the same time
Yeah. Yeah.
that you could hear in the fight scene earlier. So that was cool. And since this is an anniversary special, the plot kind of features recaps of major Batman comic book moments. And they were actually the first to adapt the scene in year one where Bruce is wounded in the study and wondering how to strike fear into criminals. And so Mags and Boulevard carry over some of the Frank Miller dialogue from year one, though they kind of revise it. So I'm going to play that clip here.
Okay.
What do I use to make them afraid? Without warning, it comes, crashing through the window of the study, having lost its way back to the cave. It sucks the stale air and hisses. I have seen it before somewhere. It frightened me as a boy, and with the fear, the knowledge. Yes, Father. Now I know what I must become.
So
I shall become a bat.
yeah, sadly they didn't have him say that. They're just like, now I know what I must become.
Oh man, they missed
I
the most
know.
important part.
I know, right? I was like, God damn it, when I got to that part in the audio. So they adapt different scenes from the comics, so some direct dialogue. So young Bruce falling into the cave and encountering the bats for the first time. That's adapted from the Dark Knight Returns. The scene from Dark Knight Returns where Batman has the inner monologue about there are 7 working defenses from this position. That's in there. The first meeting between Ra's al Ghul and Batman in the Batcave from Daughter of the Demon is adapted, as well as Batman talking Commissioner Gordon into teaming up from the Untold Legend of the Batman. All that's adapted with pretty much a lot of the dialogue lifted from the comics. So it's a pretty true adaptation to a lot of the stuff outside of some weird stuff with Ra's al Ghul in this. But clearly they had done a lot of homework in providing this audio. So
Yeah, it's cool. What's the year again?
1989. So same year as the
okay,
movie.
okay. Okay.
Because it's the 50th anniversary.
Okay.
So rest of the cast is Paul Maxwell as Gordon, Carrie Shale as the Joker and Detective Bullock, Shelley Thompson as Barbara Gordon / Oracle, as well as Talia, Lorelei King as Catwoman, Alan Marriott as Jason Todd, because there's flashbacks to Jason before he was killed by the Joker, and James Good as Nightwing. So pretty interesting, eclectic group of characters, especially if you're a kid in '89, you might have just been introduced to Batman in the movie, and then you listen to this, you're introduced to like a whole bunch of people who you don't know yet because they haven't been in the movies.
Definitely.
So it's been cool.
Would Roz be in your top 10 Bat villains?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Like I like.
For you?
Well, maybe not. I don't know. Like
Mhm.
I can see, like the first time seeing Batman fight with a sword. Well, it probably wasn't the first time, but like fight Ra's al Ghul with
Yeah,
the
it's iconic.
sword.
Mhm.
Iconic shit there. I understand that, and I think I like the League of Assassins more than Ra's. I know you can't have one without the other, but like I don't know something. Maybe I need to just familiarize myself with him a little bit more or something. But uh, let's see.
I will say
Freeze,
though,
Joker, Riddler, Penguin, even maybe
over Ra's.
over
Yeah.
Roz. Not Mad Hatter. uh, Court of Owls,
I wouldn't
yes,
put Mad
over.
Hatter over Ross. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he squeaks in the top 10. I'm trying to think,
I
but
think he's a character that they've kind of done everything they need to do with him. Because like I can't think
mm,
of like if they're like, hey, like we'd give you the keys of the kingdom. What are you gonna do with Ra's al Ghul? I'd be like, I don't know. Like they've kind of done everything.
you see, yeah, Batman has fucked his daughter and had a fucking shitty ass son. Like they really like did a great job. They did everything they could with that. Yeah, I think you're right. That's probably why. And again, I haven't read it, but like apparently the current Flashpoint Batman by Jeff Johns
Mhm.
is really good. Probably because it's like just totally new, not totally new, but like fresh-ish for Batman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's more shit they can do with that. Not that they can't
Mhm.
do anything anymore with the main storyline, but it's probably easier in some ways
Yeah.
with fresher stuff.
Mhm. Yeah, I just don't know what
So yeah.
else where else you could go with that. With Ra's al Ghul, they've done everything. They've killed him. They've brought
Right.
him
I
back
mean,
again and again. The whole what?
the whole stuff in like Batman Begins, the stuff in Batman Begins where he is saying that like they sacked Rome and it's like they've been like
Mhm.
engineering humanity since day one. It's like the conspiracy theory to end all conspiracy theory. Like they are the Illuminati in a sense. They are whatever Bilderberg group, whatever fucking conspiracy theory you believe in.
Yeah.
They're that, right? Like I
Yeah.
thought that was really cool and interesting and maybe they could spin that angle one more time or something, but
They could, it's
that wouldn't be
cool
like a personal note,
idea.
I guess.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
cool idea, it's just that Batman's not around during those times. So, like, it's
That's
cool, but
true,
it's
yeah.
always gonna be backstory. This is kind of the problem that they've set up for themselves
That's
with that.
true. That's true.
Yeah.
It would be like but it's like with Batman Begins, Batman has turned the course of human history around. He hasn't just saved Gotham. He's he stopped a major he stopped the Illuminati. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Mhm.
it's kind of a big deal that people don't bring up all that much, but
Mhm.
uh like they say as a fire, as a what do they say? As a the 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 weeds grow too much or something. You need a fire to cleanse it or something.
Oh, yeah, when he's talking about the forest, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like he stopped to that
The
fire,
purging
so
fire,
the
yes.
purging fire. So like I love that aspect of it. And yeah,
Mhm.
I don't know what I'm with you, man. I don't know what they could do with Roz at this point. I mean, another sword fight would be cool. Uh
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. I bet you like people that were reading that in the 70s, what was that, 72 or something?
Yeah, the 70s.
Yeah,
Probably 71, I might think. Yeah.
that must have been like such a treat, like to see
Mhm.
Batman do that for the first time,
It was
If
new. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
the O'Neill and Neil Adams stuff with Ra's al Ghul, like, it was so new at the time, and now, like, we've seen it in across different adaptations. I'm like, "Alright, I like the character. I'm cool seeing him," but inevitably, it's just like Batman shows up at some random Himalayan lair. Ra's calls him detective. They have some sort of sword fight. Ra's is either dying or going to die and needs a dip in the Lazarus pit or something.
Yeah.
Talia is, caught in between, like, it's all the same shit at
Talia's never
certain
too
points.
likable either, to be honest with you, for me.
If anything, they made her less likable, especially
Yeah.
during Grant Morrison's run. She's the main villain in
Yeah,
that,
right?
so
Like they're just not likable. I mean, Roz is not supposed to be. He's a fucking
mhm.
villain, but
Yeah.
like, be a little bit more Catwoman like make her, she's she's gray, right? You can make Talia a little bit more gray, a little more likable.
Yeah, but instead they decided to make her more evil in Batman Incorporated. So, oh well.
Yeah. All right. Well,
All
whatever.
right. So this one seemed to work well, the Lazarus syndrome, and they decided 5 years later, let's do another one. And so they decided to go for a big one, which is Knightfall.
Nice.
So much bigger production, 1994. The previous one was 43 minutes. This is 3 hours.
Whoa.
Yeah. It adapts the entire Knightfall saga from the comics at the time. Cast was bigger as well, and I even have a rare cast photo of the audio.
Whoa.
Yep. So you can see in the center, there's Michael Gough in a purple sweater. And we have other actors here in a matching purple sweater, at least
Mhm.
matching in color, is Bob Sessions as Batman. And then the caption identifies that's Dirk Maggs in doing some Han Solo cosplay on the far left over there. Then we got Eric Myers, who played Bullock, is next to him in the glasses and blue. Next to him is Michael Roberts, who voiced the ventriloquist and film freak. James Good is the guy next to him who returned as Nightwing and voiced Scarecrow in this. And then we've got Bob Sessions and Michael Gough. And then kind of tucked in the back there, the young guy is Daniel Marinker, who played Tim Drake. I believe he's the first actor to play Tim Drake. This is the first adaptation of the character before they brought him into the animated series and did the Legends of Robin audio. So I think he's the first Tim Drake. And then old guy at the end is Vincent Marzello, who plays Mayor Kroll as well as Mr. Zaz in this. And then the three actors in front, we got Lorelei King, who voiced Montoya and Leslie Tompkins on the left. Alibi Parsons as Dr. Chandra Consolving, and or Alib Parsons, I'm not sure on that. And Carrie Shale at the end, who's kind of the MVP of this because he's the Joker, but he's also Azrael. And
Oh,
Azrael's
cool.
a huge part of that. Yeah. So he has to put on like 3 different voices: Joker's voice, John Paul Valley's voice, and then Azrael's voice, and as well as Azrael pretending to be Batman. So
Okay. All
he's got his
right.
work cut out for him on this. Not pictured here is Peter Marinker, who voiced Bane as well, likely related to the actor playing Robin, who's Daniel Marinker. William Roberts is Commissioner Gordon. And playing the Riddler is an actor named Stuart Milligan, who was playing Superman in the Dirk Mag Superman stuff.
Oh,
So that's kind of
nice.
an interesting casting. Superman is the Riddler in this.
Do you know if these were sold in America as well, or is this just in the
Yeah,
UK?
I got this. I got this off of iTunes back in 2005 or 2006 or so. They made it available around the time of the Nolan trilogy being released. So I did buy this back then off of
Okay.
iTunes.
But was
So
it
that's where some
released
experience
when
is.
Nightfall came out?
I think yeah, because it was done over BBC Radio in '94. I don't know if I think there was a separate release of it, but I don't know if it was available in America.
Okay, yeah, like a book on tape kind of deal at the time.
Yeah, yeah, I'm
People
pretty sure
still
it's sold.
people still say book on tape. Like when they say audiobook, like some people do
Oh
still
yeah,
say that, you know?
it's a '90s thing. It
Yeah.
feels.
Yeah.
So Michael Gough's Alfred is not the emotional core of the story like he kind of was in Batman and Robin, but where he had the best scenes in that. But he does get to do a lot more work here than he did in the other movies. Alfred gets to do a bunch of things that Michael Gough's Alfred did not get to do in the movies. So one of
Okay.
those things is to actually go out in the field with Batman.
Oh,
So
nice.
this adaptation starts off with the storyline of Sword of Azrael, which introduced the character of Azrael in the first place. And in the comic, that's where Alfred and Batman end up in the mountains and stuff, tracking down John Paul Valley. And this is actually where Alfred compares Batman to being a Boy Scout. And Michael
Okay.
Gough basically got to say the line here.
I'm afraid we will not reach civilization before darkness, Master Bruce. And then
Take my parka, put it over your own. It may help.
me into the ranks of the unemployed after you perish of the cold? Out of the question.
I have another suit. The one I always wear when there's a possibility of meeting serious bad guys. And this is the heated model.
You're a shining example to Boy Scouts everywhere, Master.
So
Is Batman a UK guy as well, or
I think he's located in the UK. Let me look
Okay.
up Bob Sessions right now. Bob Sessions passed away as well. So he's no longer with us. Passed away in 1998. It says here.
okay? Been a while then.
Yeah. I can't find much on him. He was young, born 1940.
Oh man,
Yeah,
58.
yeah. Jesus. All right. But yeah, can't find that much about him. I believe he was American living in England or one of those.
Okay.
So yeah, we have that scene with Alfred, and then we've talked before about how Alfred came from the stage, came from theater, came from being an actor,
Mhm.
and Alfred actually gets to be in a disguise in this production here. In the comic, after Bane showed the public that he broke Batman, Alfred and Tim Drake show up disguised as paramedics to sort of take him away in an ambulance to take him to the Batcave. To take care of him, and so that's where this is where we get to hear Michael Gough pretend to be like a city paramedic dude. So
Oh
it's
man.
kind of fun.
Clear back, please. Paramedics coming through. I see too much. Alfredo, the backboard, hurry.
Gangway people coming through here.
You guys got here in a hurry?
Yeah, we was in the neighborhood.
He's breathing shallow and has a quick, weak pulse. Skin's ice cold. I didn't try to move him.
Here, keep him straight.
Yeah, got him. Slide it straight into the van.
Look, I can ride along in the unit to help you get to the hospital in a hurry.
It's okay, Commissioner. We're only a few blocks from Mercy General.
So we was in the
Okay.
neighborhood.
We was in the neighborhood.
Yeah,
It's trying to be like Brooklyn almost.
yeah, kind of. So it's kind of fun to hear that because you can still
Mhm.
tell it's him, voice wise.
Definitely. Definitely.
So that was cool though because like he never got to do the whole Alfred disguising himself thing in the movies either.
Would
Uh,
you say Knightfall's still the best Bane story?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's still it's definitely the best one. I do have my own issues with Knightfall, but I do think it is more deserving of being on like one of the top arcs list compared to like Hush.
Gotcha. Like the story is actually good. It's not just about the art.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the last
But No Man's Land is still your number one, probably.
No Man's Land hands down. Like whenever I revisit it, I'm just like, oh yeah. now I know. Now I
Yeah.
remember.
Just wanted to announce that I have a new podcast called Gaming Gaiden. It's about retro gaming, it's about video games, it's a lot about Japanese to English in this first season. Yes, it will be 10 episodes each season. First season will be dropping soon, much sooner than I'm on a Recon. The co-host for this one will be Mike Torres. If you saw the ranking every Superman video game two-parter we did here on Superhero Stuff You Should Know, you have seen Mike before. So yes, if you like video games, if you've been interested in Japanese ever, we're going to be talking a lot about just Japan in general, Japanese cultural differences as well. And we also are going to have a lot of talk about 90s video game magazines such as Electronic Gaming Monthly, aka EGM. So stay tuned for that. So please be on the lookout for Gaming Gaiden podcast coming soon.
Class is back in session, and HyperX has the grade A gear you need for dorm life, remote classes, and for schoolin' folks online. Shop the HyperX back to school deals going on now at hyperx.com to help make your return to student life a breeze. Comfortable cloud headsets can keep you focused in as you cram for finals with some lo-fi beats, and stay productive with lightweight pulse-fire mice, responsive alloy keyboards, and more. Keep your GPA and your KDA high with HyperX products and accessories.
Hi, it's me, Jeremy Parrish, co-host of the Retronauts podcast, the only video game history podcast that's been around so long, it's also a part of video game history. Every week, one of the motley rabble who host this show leads a deep dive into the past, whether it's to break down a classic franchise, learn more about a timeless game from its creator, or just wallow in nostalgia. Relive history with Retronauts, here on the HyperX Podcast Network.
Do you like the TV show Friends? Then check out Watching Friends with me, Mark,
and me, Ryan,
every week as we go through every episode of this iconic TV show, giving you behind-the-scenes facts, our thoughts on every scene, and some personal stories.
Do you know which actor can't remember how many seasons of the show there are? How about the one common household object that could never be seen on the show? We've got the answers and more as we explore Friends in depth every week.
Watching Friends, only on the HyperX Podcast Network.
Fight inflation the old-fashioned way, by spending less money. Check out the HyperX store at Amazon.com to find great Prime Day deals on July 12th and 13th. Stock up on new gaming gear so you'll be equipped for the new launches and content drops. Mark your calendars and set your alarms. Deals like this won't stick around long.
Class is back in session, and HyperX has the grade A gear you need for dorm life, remote classes, and for schooling folks online.
Shop the HyperX back-to-school deals going on at hyperx.com to help make your return to student life a breeze.
Comfortable cloud headsets can help keep you focused in as you cram for finals with some lo-fi beats and stay productive with lightweight pulse-fire mics, responsive alloy keyboards, and more.
Keep your GPA and your KDA high with HyperX products and accessories.
Today's episode is sponsored by our friends at Manscaped, the leaders in below-the-waist grooming.
It's back to school time. We want to make sure you pack the essentials to have the best gear yet. The Manscaped 4th Generation Performance Package is just that.
Be ready for whatever it is in your daily schedule this year.
It's the perfect package for your package and includes the brand new Lawnmower 4.0.
Fellas, go for the valedictorian of ball trimming and join the 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com with the code Johnson's Ballsack. Yes, that's a real code.
100% real.
Yes. So this is apparently the part in the ad read where I tell you about hurting my balls while trimming below the waist. The thing is, I haven't, because I've never hurt my balls through it while using Manscaped. Me, personally, that's not to say that you can't. I'm just saying that I haven't myself. So thanks to Manscaped, I don't have a story to share on that.
Yeah, I one time shaved my sack without Manscaped, and it didn't end up well. Actually, my roommate had to clean up the mess because I was in college and forgot about it. But anyway, that's a side. I was young once.
You lead with that.
I was young once. But yes, you want to keep in the bush to keep in your underoos. Keep your package in the underoos. All right, you gotta
Indeed.
have it looking good down there, you know what I'm saying, and seem big.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yes. School is back, and the Performance Package 4.0 from Manscaped is here to teach the boys a lesson on male hygiene. Inside, you'll find a Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, plus 2 free gifts, Performance Boxer Briefs, and the Shed Travel Bag.
This package includes the brand new Lawnmower 4.0 and will give you the confidence to do anything you desire, including showing off your dick. New year, new you. Might screw around and attend Smooth Balls University this fall. Wait, is that a thing?
This 4th generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. It also allows you to shave your pencil down and customize your trim through additional guard lengths with sizes 1 to 4. As you guys can probably tell, we did not write this.
These are the most fun ads, though, dude.
Yeah.
All right, so the Lawnmower 4.0 also has a 7,000 RPM motor and a new multifunction on-off switch that can engage a travel lock and gives you the ability to turn the 4000K LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave. So if you're needing to shave your balls in the dark, they got you in the Batcave, always on brand. Please use the LED spotlight. And did I mention it's waterproof as well? So if you want to shave in the dark, underwater,
In Atlantis.
If your Batcave is also in Atlantis,
Double power.
there you go. I mean, they got you covered. What can I say?
Indeed. That's what Aquaman 2 is about. So this package also
I'm going to say legally it's not that, but
yes, okay.
that was commentary.
Yes. This package also comes with a Weed Whacker to chop your worst weeds up top in both your nose and your ear. The Weed Whacker is also waterproof and uses a 9,000 RPM motor-powered 360-degree rotary dual-blade system. This nose and ear hair trimmer provide proprietary skin-safe technology, which helps prevent nick, snags, and tugs in those delicate holes.
After trimming your pubes and cleaning your holes, show them some love with the Manscaped liquid formulations. The Crop Preserver, Ball Deodorant and Crop Reviver Ball Toner are here to get you ready for class during the day and ready to party at night. And again, when you party at night, you could at night be shaving your balls just fine because it has a light on it.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I did have a friend that, speaking of ball deodorant, I had a friend one time that's going to remain nameless that did spray cologne on his dick, and it hurt. It was a bad idea, he said. So you don't want to do that. You need deodorant especially made for your balls.
Indeed.
And that's where they're here for, guys.
Mm-hmm. Manscaped also threw in 2 free gifts to their Performance Package 4.0, the Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. One is a comfy front pack for your balls, and the other is a backpack for your goods.
Get 20% off and free shipping with the code Johnson's Ball Sack. And I'm telling you, it's real. We've had a lot of people talk about this, asking, and it's 100% real. We wouldn't be doing these actual official ads if it wasn't real. So yeah, 20% off plus free shipping with the code Johnson's Ball Sack at manscaped.com. Take the last line, Ben.
This year, graduate with a degree in clean balls from Manscaped. And the last clip I have here is Gough gets to do a scene that we saw Michael Caine do in The Dark Knight Rises, which is Alfred leaving Bruce after seeing him put himself in more danger. Now, it's not nearly as emotional as the scene in Dark Knight Rises, but it does stay true to the way it was done in the comic, which was really not done that way. So here we go.
You know I can't stay in bed, Alfred. Asp is here with Chandra, and I can find... Ow! Bruce, I have never questioned you before or been disloyal, but I will not be part of your self-destruction. Anything but that. If you do not obey the doctor's orders, I shall resign my post, effective immediately. Alfred, I have got to find Chandra, whatever the cost. In that case, sir, I shall return to Wayne Manor and clear my rooms. Good day, Mr. Wayne.
Good day!
So good as Alfred. But yeah, it's not as emotional, but it's it feels like it's the precursor to that scene. You know, even the music feels a little, Dark Knight trilogy-esque for Hans Zimmer and James Newton Howard in the background there. So definitely the best of the audio so far that we've covered in terms of the Batman Forever one, Batman and Robin, Lazarus Syndrome. This is better than Lazarus Syndrome. I mean, it better be. It's like 3 times as long as Lazarus Syndrome.
Production-wise and everything, huh?
Yeah, production-wise as well, but also just like the way that it's written. It's pretty much the Knightfall storyline, but condensed into 3 hours. So if you want to re-experience Knightfall, but don't want to sift through like 50 or 60 issues, you can go through this instead. And you pretty much get the same thing out of it.
That's cool.
But yeah, the main thing with Bane in this, and Halsey brought this up in saying that I ruined Bane for him. The monthly meetup, but Bane is basically motivated to come to Gotham and break Batman's back because he had nightmares of a bat as a kid.
There would have been such a better way to set up a motivation, man. Like Batman could have accidentally fucked up a building, like the city destruction angle. I mean, maybe that's out of character, but like something like that, or what else? Like, he could have something to do with Wayne Enterprises. Bane figures out he's Batman. Wayne Enterprise fucks him over in Mexico or whatever the fuck. Somehow, I don't know.
Yeah, it's at least in the Dark Knight Rises, it's just like, he wants revenge because Ra's al Ghul died. I'm like, it was a little muddled because Bane was excommunicated and it turned out he was working for Talia the whole time, but it made sense as a motivation. He just wants revenge. He took over the League. Boom, you're done. So like they at least had something better than that.
Does Azrael have any other? This is such a noob question, I feel like, but does he have other big runs other than Knightfall?
Not really. That's the thing. Like he was John Paul after this kind of redeems himself through the stuff that happens in No Man's Land, which again is more of a Batman thing than like an Azrael run. Azrael does have his own comics. It's just I've never really been super interested in exploring them.
I think the Court of Owls have to kind of consume the Court of Dumas.
Oh, that's an interesting point. Yeah.
and then take over, and then Azrael becomes like
Talon.
Azrael Talon. Like,
Oh yeah.
come on, man. Where's my money? DC. This is an easy one. This is a what do you call it? Low ball or whatever,
Yeah,
softball.
yeah. Okay, so Nightfall is kind of the reason why I think it's a great arc, despite these flaws, is that it's basically set up as a critique against people who want like the dark edgelord Batman, and so
Mm,
Azrael is specifically created to be the dark edgelord Batman from the beginning. It's kind of a criticism against that idea or wanting that type of Batman. That's why he's in like that super over stylized '90s armor,
yeah.
as both Azrael and as Asbats. It's also funny too because in the comics and listening to the radio show, they're just like, "Oh, Batman's so edgy. He's got a suit of armor on, and he's breaking criminals' bones. And instead of batarangs, he's got bat shurikens." And I'm like, "That's actually pretty much what you would expect of the modern Batman right
Yes.
now. That's kind of what he's turned into."
So is
So,
this like an anti-Miller or a
um,
critique against Miller in his way?
I don't think it's necessarily against Miller so much as what Miller unknowingly influenced, which
What
is this.
hath Miller wrought?
Yeah, yeah, like everyone wants basically these edgier 90s superheroes, the ones like, yeah, we kill people and all the stuff. That's what Azrael is sort of representing here.
Okay.
And I think to this day there are some people who are part of that. I think they've kind of evolved into, we've talked about, with BVS, yes, Batman's branding and killing people, but Snyder's very much on the side that, like, yeah, that is, we know that's Batman out of character, and he becomes like, his arc is becoming more like the Batman we know by the end.
Okay.
He's not supposed to be doing that, but I think there are even some hardcore Snyder fans who actually support that version of Batman, a Batman that Snyder doesn't even support in his own movie, and think that Batman should be brutal and going around and killing all those criminals. And even though BVS intends to say that it's wrong, and some of that is down to the problem of BVS's execution, but some of it is just people who want their own edgelord shit out there. And so it's the Nightfall works because it's the idea of Bruce having to step down and unknowingly allowing a more brutal Batman on the streets, and then having to recover and get the cowl back from like this darker, edgier Batman, whom
Right.
audiences are now discovering like, we don't actually like this. It's
Right.
not as
Right.
cool as we
Right.
thought. Uh,
Right.
but then you kind of run into the problem afterwards, since Azrael's created to be like the darker edgelord Batman. What do you do with Azrael once the story is done?
Right.
He kind of served his purpose. So like that's why I've never really been super interested in Azrael's story outside of what I've already read, which is Nightfall and then No Man's Land, where like he kind of redeems himself. That's about it.
Well, I mean, it would depend on like what the court. It's a court of Dumas, right?
The Order of Saint Dumas.
Order of Saint Dumas, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so depend on like, do they brainwash him again? You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
And then they start doing their own things again, and I don't know. I don't know actually what could happen. I mean, it'd be probably too similar to Court of Owls at this point, but I don't know.
Yeah, they've gone back and forth. At one point, they killed him off. They gave the mantle of Azrael to someone else, and then Rebirth brought back John Paul. Like they keep doing other things with the character, but it's just like with Bane, where you don't really beat the original story.
Right. I wonder if there's like you could. This has got to be kind of hard to do, I guess. But like, let's say the Order of Dumas and the Court of Owls are fighting each other, but
Mhm.
they're fighting at like an elite level. But somehow that trickles down into more crime in Gotham in general.
Mhm.
I don't know how that would happen, but I don't know. I'm kind of spitballing here. I think he's got a cool look. I'd like for them to do more. At least do a fucking like do the fucking do a Flashpoint Azrael. Make him a little bit different.
Mhm.
Switch it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's more to explore with that. I've just never really been super interested in it, but if they
Yeah.
do something interesting, then maybe that can bring it back. I think another issue is that because he's deliberately set up for that, they kind of had to come up with a contrived way to bring him up, because it's just like Bruce. Okay, so Bruce meets this guy who's basically a kid. He's a grad student, much
Yeah.
younger, and he's been brainwashed by the system since birth to kill for the Order of Saint Dumas, to be
Right.
their assassin. And Batman's like, "Well, I'll take you under my wing because you want a different path." and stuff.
Right.
And then Knightfall pretty much happens. Then his back gets
Okay.
broken, and Bruce is just like, should I he's given the choice. He's like, should I contact Dick Grayson, who is an adult and was trained by me for years and I've known and trusted him for a while, or should I trust this grad student who I've barely known, who has a system ingrained in him to kill people and has not gotten over it at this point? Yeah, I'll trust that guy to be Batman.
Oh my God.
And Dick Grayson, it'd be one thing if he tells Dick, like, you got to be Batman. And Dick said no, but he doesn't even ask. He doesn't give Dick a chance.
Okay.
So, so Dick's like, why didn't you ask me? Is what he says by the time Nightwing shows up, where Azrael Batman's already started, killing criminals and shit. Like,
Dude,
it has gone way too late.
check this out, man. So May 5th, 2022, they announced Sword of Azrael new miniseries by DC Comics coming out. The series will pick up with John Paul, now retired from being the pawn of the Order of Saint Dumas and living at a monastery in Europe until a young woman appears asking for his help. After learning she has undergone the same brainwashing he did, John Paul reclaims the mantle of Azrael to protect her from the deadly assassins now pursuing her. That's
All right.
cool. Yeah,
That's cool.
we have an angle.
I'm looking at the cover art right now.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Dark
Say
Knight
your
of the Soul.
prayers.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Awesome.
cool. I'll read it. That's cool. I'm glad they're doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there could have been a better way to have gotten him in that cowl, mainly. Because otherwise,
yeah.
it's just like, I'm just trust John Paul. I'm like, maybe if John Paul had been part of the team for a lot longer, or had shown that he had gotten over the system or something, then that would make more sense. But it just seemed unlikely
Mhm.
at that. And then we have some other issues where, like, Bruce's back gets fixed because his girlfriend has super healing powers.
Okay. Yeah.
And I know we're just like, he got punched in the back of the Dark Knight Rises. That was, that was pretty lame. But I'm like, this is not the comic book version. Like, you see what Nolan had to work with.
Right.
We
I
look for
know.
source material. So I'm like, he didn't necessarily make that much worse.
I feel like that Star Wars kid was next to me whenever they kicked his back into place again. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh
So
my
that's the
God,
thing.
bro.
And then, like, Bruce doesn't actually get a rematch with Bane in the story. He gets it
Mhm.
into another story, but like it's basically Bane breaks Bruce, and then John Paul beats Bane, and that's the end of Bane's part of this. I'm like, that's cool, but it's not as satisfying as having a rematch,
Mhm. Yeah, you'd want the rematch for
which is
sure.
something else that Dark Knight Rises provided at the end. It became satisfying when Batman came back and kicked his ass and tore out the fucking tubes and stuff. Like, that made
Mhm.
sense. For that,
Yes. Yes.
but yeah, overall, it has the flaws, but I appreciate the core theme of it, the core concept of, like, this is why Bruce Wayne's Batman works. The no kill stuff, the not crossing the line, not just being about breaking bones, but having compassion for people and stuff. Because he shows that compassion to John Paul at the end
Okay. That's
after he
cool.
takes back the mantle. So, yeah, we'll probably cover more arc stuff, or like hidden gems arc. This is definitely not a hidden gem because a bunch of people know about this. But
Oh, Nightfall's not a hidden gem for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. But
Yeah.
it is one, I guess, that I can say, like, this one is well deserved in terms of
Mhm.
its rep of, like, if we're going off of, like, it has to be like major story arcs, then yeah, it would definitely be up there in, like, top 10.
I mean, yeah, it's like, like All-Star Superman. It's got to be on the list,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
There's just some really deserve their position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, those are the audios where Michael Gough shows up as Alfred and gets to do a bunch of stuff we didn't get to see.
All right, so that's all you get for this week. That was our episode released from the Patreon vault. We hope you enjoyed it. And if you want to hear the full episode, please go to patreon.com/superherostuffpod. And the rest of this episode and a bunch more is there. It's at the $5 tier. So please check that out. And we hope you enjoyed it. And we'll see you later. Thanks again. Bye.